Rajasthan Royals, after what was a bad defeat to the Sunrisers, can they bounce back against RCB, who now would feel have some momentum after the win against Mumbai Indians? We're going to figure what's wrong with Chris Morris first on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout. Excellent for RCB last season in the UAE, Sanjay. Didn't start too badly as well in this year's IPL in the first leg, won them a game with bat and ball. And all of a sudden, Morris, in just two appearances out of three this season, just looks completely off color.
See, Chris Morris has been around for a while playing in the IPL, and after the show, I'm going to again go to Ask Cricket Info and find out Chris Morris's IPL performances over the years. And if my memory just sort of serves me right, I think that was that one season where Chris Morris really looked very good. But generally, he's not been one of those kind of players that every franchise retain, and he's their go-to player every time. In the
Hmm.
UAE, he was very good, and so when I look at Chris Morris having a slight sort of being out of form, it's something that I've seen before as well. It's not like David Warner, this season
Sure.
completely out of form, and it is something that you can't come to terms with. So that is my first impression of Chris Morris before getting into the nitty gritty. That's my view of
Hmm.
Chris Morris, top of my head in
Fair
IPL.
enough. Fair enough. But 14 wickets in 7 games in the first leg, Carlos in India. Big money signing as well, as he tends to be often at the auctions. And we thought this is the one sure overseas player in the absence of Archer and Butler and Stokes, and yet he's wicketless in the 2 games so far.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much cricket he would have played
Hmm.
between the break, and sometimes that could be a problem. He seems to be someone that needs a lot of rhythm behind him. Um, and yeah, I guess the numbers don't lie with him struggling a bit, and then he was left out for one of the games when
Yeah.
Sandra Sampson said they were unavailable, him and Evan Lewis. So I know Evan has been playing cricket, and Evan had a little bit of a niggle in CPL. So you never know if Chris Morris was nursing a niggle, and as a result is not 100%. That's what he took from Sandra Sampson's use of the word unavailable. But it's
Hmm.
interesting because having played with him, he's someone that you think at any point in time could win you a game with bat or ball, um, maybe even in the field. But his numbers don't suggest that he would have done it often enough. Um, and he gets the big bucks all the time, so he's always under a bit more scrutiny and under a bit more pressure than someone who comes in for less than half the price tag that he would get. And I know he would want his numbers to be a lot better. His skill set certainly says that his numbers should be a lot better, but it just hasn't clicked for him in this second half. He'd hope that after a 3 game spurt or a run, as he would have after tomorrow, that he should be somewhere close to his best with match fitness and game rhythm, and be able to close out the season well for Rajasthan.
Yeah, there seem to be a number of bowlers in that Rajasthan lineup, Sanjay, that seem to be in better form than Chris Morris. You have Karthik Tyagi bowling at the death, Mustafizur Rahman's bowling more often, in key overs. Could Rajasthan use Chris Morris any differently?
Um, Not really. I mean, it's about Chris Morris being at his best, and Carlos makes a good point about him may have not had much of match practice because I remember the first over that he bowled in this half of the IPL here in UAE, and he just struggled to control his line. It wasn't like in England where the ball was swinging around too much. And I remember him bowling two balls on the pads down the leg side, which is very unlike him, and easy pickings for the batters. And I was thinking, this guy looks a little rusty, and he struggled to be at his best since then. So that for me is something that I made a note as somebody who's not really match fit at the moment, but he's an experienced guy. You expect him to come into his best form very soon after, but we haven't seen the best of Chris Morris. But I'd like to still maintain that first point that I made that Chris Morris has not been one of
Hmm.
those guys who's been brilliant season after season like a David Warner and had one bad season as an aberration.
You still see him getting a game though against RCB, Carlos. There's still O'Shane Thomas in that lineup. There are overseas options if they want to try it out. But Morris against RCB, one more game, you reckon?
Yeah, it could be another game. O'Shane Thomas doesn't add the presence with the bat potentially that Morris adds. They could use him more the enforcer type role, probably one or two in the power play, and then the other two before the 16th over, and ask him to just run in and bowl fast. I think Morris is at his best when he's picking a fight with a batsman, and he's going hammer and tongs. Put him to bowl over 8 to 16 for two, and see if he can have a better set of success than he's been having recently. You always have Mustafizur to come at the back end, Tiagi if he's fit, and the other left arm seamer, Sakaria, hope I can pronounce his name correctly. You have a host of options at the back end, so you can now start to use your trump card slightly differently. And if that doesn't work either, then you have to look at your other overseas options. O'Shane Thomas has been in good nick in CPL. He shed a lot of weight and he's hitting the pitch and the deck very, very hard at the moment, swinging the ball up top. So he'd be a fantastic option to replace him. But I think it should still stick with Chris Morris for another game or so.
Okay, thank you very much, Carlos Brathwaite.
Quickly,
Yes,
I think Chris Morris is replaceable because they've got an array of fast bowlers. I'd go with spin as a foreign replacement for him, especially against RCB, where you have those batters who love the ball coming on, and especially with Virat Kohli there. Worthwhile going with the left arm leg spin of Tabraiz Shamsi.
Yep, fair enough. Thank you very much, Sanjay Manjrekar and Carlos Brathwaite. Let's see if Rajasthan continue to show faith in Chris Morris against his former side, that's Bangalore, on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout.
We call it people technology.